All right, Niners lose. Welcome to the Krueger Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. The Niners ran out of luck today. They lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was ugly. We're going to talk all about it. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, and we're also brought to you by our good friends at Sleeper. We'll tell you all about Sleeper. I said it, though. I did say it early in the week. I said, hey, Brock Purdy the throws are high. It's not looking good. Sure enough, yeah, the throws were high and he didn't look good. So there you go. We'll talk about it right now. Let's go. All right, we're off and running on the Krueger Show, live from Levi's. Niners lose. It was ugly. We're going to get into it. We want to hear from you. Thank you, sir. Getting some of the quotes from the locker room. Robert Saleh and Liam Cohn had a little exchange, if you will. Welcome to Pig and a Pickle, welcome to the Krueger Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out, so get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sleeper, though I don't have my Sleeper read. Look who's in the house. The great Rye Smith and Danny with the Niner hat. Giant season officially over.
Yay!
Finally, this thing was a freaking train wreck. Oh my God! 4 turnovers, can't run the ball, disaster in the red zone. Brant Boyer, I thought Brant Boyer. Brant Boyer's. I see Brant Boyer. I see Brian Schneider. I see Richard Hightower. I see the same guys they've always had, because their special teams were horrible.
Oh,
They got a kicker and they have no coverage unit to speak of. I said it all week long. I said it. Do not start Brock Purdy. Not that there was anything wrong with Brock Purdy, except he's got a tender toe. And that tender toe in practice, he was leaving a lot of passes up high. And it was like I was the only person who saw it. It was like I was the only person who said anything about it. I mean, it was crazy. I'm like looking at myself at the end of the week. I'm like, am I seeing things that nobody else is seeing? Why am I seeing this? Why is nobody else saying anything about this? And sure enough, we get in this game. I would say if there was one prevailing, overriding Brock Purdy observation, is that for whatever reason, and I asked him in the post game, I said, was it toe related? His balls were high today. He was high all day for the most part. And I asked him about it in the post game, and he said, hey, I don't know. I got to be real with myself. He said, I got to be real. I got to watch that film, and I got to be real honest with myself. So that might be it. Did Brock Purdy play this week because Kyle Shanahan said he should play, or did Brock Purdy play this week because Brock Purdy thought he should play this week, and he convinced Kyle Shanahan to go along with it? I mean, Brock's the guy. He was given the $265 million contract. He is their franchise quarterback. So you're going to defer to him. If your franchise quarterback says he's ready to roll, you roll with your franchise quarterback, right? But he's a very competitive guy. And you think he enjoyed watching somebody else do his job? It's like somebody stepping in on NorCal Sports Network and having, 2 monster shows, and Danny's in the green room sitting there going, wait a second. I'm NorCal Sports Network, and I need to get back in there. But Danny, you got an elbow, you got a knee, you got an ankle. You're not 100%. The larynx is not working for you. Let is it Bora? Is that his name? Let Bora do his thing. Let him cook. Instead, Danny's like, no, I got to get back in there. So I think maybe there's a little bit of that going on. What do you guys think of this one? It was a train wreck any way you want to slice it. Who wants to go first?
I'll hop in because I've not been on a show in a while. I don't have a mic setup or anything. I'm just coming in raw. So that's interesting, Larry. I didn't know that you'd been saying that all week. Good on you, because that was obviously like what I and seemingly everyone on Twitter was saying, he's leaving all the balls high. I will say my most negative thought on this whole Brock situation was kind of like, I guess that's kind of the issue with like having a smaller quarterback is like, if you have Roethlisberger out there, guy can be in a walking boot, Saturday morning and like show up to play, and it really doesn't look all that different. Brock really needs to be healthy, and we saw that end of last year. Like he started beginning of last year, he was awesome, super impressive, like getting the ball down the field. But towards the end of the season, when he started getting banged up, like it was just a different guy. You also see it basically every single year with Kyler Murray, where not so much this year, he hasn't been as great, but normally it's like, he's popping off in fantasy. He's putting up these crazy number games. People start talking about him as a top 10 quarterback, and then he just fades end of season because he just starts taking hits and he's just a little bit too small. So that's concerning. The defense, the defense was pretty embarrassing. I think it said like first time since 2015 that they haven't had a QB hit or sack in a game.
Not even one QB hit all day. That's sad.
And like Trevor Lawrence was just chilling back there with so much time. And it's like, what is this team's identity going to be? It's certainly not special teams. They're not like, I feel like the Tomlin Steelers, like it doesn't really matter like who their quarterback is, if it's Mason or Rudolph, if it's whoever it is, like they somehow figure out a way. They focus on like all phases of the game, and like their special teams will make a big play. They'll pick other units will pick the underperforming units up, and that's just like not how this team goes. So I think it's going to be guys are going to have to get back healthy on offense, and it's just going to be a shootout. Brock better be healthy. That's my takeaway.
Danny?
Yeah, I think they lack, as you mentioned, the pass rush was not there. They're going to have to. They got all that cap room. You might as well use it in your window because you're going to have this window with Trent and a couple other guys, and then you're probably going to go down for a year or two, and then you're going to have a new window that there is. So I think if they want to try and capture something now, they should try to go out and get Hendrickson from Cincinnati. He's a free agent after this year. They've got the cap room. So you can let him walk after this year. If you're trying to win this year, that's what you need to do. The other thing that I'll say that really bothered me about today, and it's not just today, I've been harping on this for as long as Shanahan's been here. You're down 2 scores with 10 minutes to go. Why are you huddling up? Because you're going to count on your defense to get stops. You don't have to burn up all your timeouts if you hurry and score twice. The 49ers have done this in Shanahan. It's like, take our sweet time. We'll huddle up. And everything has to go right for you to win the game when you do that. And they're one of the only teams, like if you watch other teams that are competing for championships, and they're down in the fourth quarter, 10 minutes to go, they're not huddling and taking their time. They know clock urgency. There's an urgency to score quickly, and we never see it.
Red, what'd you think?
Took me back to my playing days. A really frustrating game because the 49ers did the one thing that you don't want to do. You don't want the opposition to come out on the field with more energy than you have. I think if the 49ers came out and matched their physicality and their energy level, I think they still win that game. But when you allow a lesser team, and I think they are a lesser team on the road against the 49ers, to gain confidence and any fear or trepidation that they might have had goes away, you're behind the 8 ball. I think that's what happened today. I wasn't totally with Brock Purdy starting today. I honestly wasn't, because I don't think he was 100%. And when I looked at Jacksonville's defense, this is a ferocious, athletic defense. And when he was under duress, like a lot of these other quarterbacks, like a Jackson Dak was hard to kid on New York, Dart. He couldn't escape the rush. So I think he needed to be 100%. I thought Mac had really good rhythm with these receivers. They dropped a lot of passes today. I would have loved to see them get this win and have them come back on Thursday. But they were not ready to play at the level that Jacksonville was, and you never want to let that happen.
Kev, what'd you think of it?
Man, I don't even know where to begin with this game. This one sucks for the Niners. Like last year, there were some games where they dropped them. You know, they lost to the Packers, they lost to the Bills, and some close games that they probably never should have won. This is a game that they could have come away with. This is not a team that is a world beater. I mean, I'll give them credit. Their defense is pretty tough, but Trevor Lawrence and the offense, I mean, they're all right. They kind of ran it down their throats a little bit, but they could have easily beat this game. They beat themselves in this game. The mistakes. I mean, you show me a team that has 4 turnovers, I'm going to show you the team that loses the game. Like you're not winning the game when you turn the ball over 4 times. They score 17 points on it, and you don't get any turnovers on your end. I mean, you're just the win percentage on that has to be 99%. Like they're not winning the game because of that. And you know, you let a team score on a kick return, on a punt return. It's just terrible. It's just terrible mistakes that you can't have and expect to win.
Yeah, I mean the turnovers are crushers, but you know, and you could just point to that alone, right? I mean, -4 in turnovers. I mean, you know, I don't know what the history of the NFL is, but I guarantee you, if you turn it over 4 times, you can't win more than 5 to 10% of the time, right? So that was the crusher. You know, if you want to drive out of here tonight going, you know what, all is right with the world, you can do that, right? The Niners are 3-1. They haven't had Kittle. They haven't had Ayuk. They had a bunch of injuries this summer. They've won games on the road with 2 different quarterbacks. You know, there's things that you could point to and be like, hey, you know what? They're 3-1 out of the chute. This is the take you're going to hear all day tomorrow, and it's a nauseating take, but I'll just throw it out. Hey, man, if I asked you going into the season, would you take 3-1 out of the chute? You would have said yeah every time. And you can hear my show. Call up right now. Blah, 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 blah. And I hate loser takes like that. I really do. You know, I hate loser takes like that. You know what? If you had said a month ago, I'm goofy, that we had a 3-1 record, you'd take it. Yeah, you know, good point, but that was until the team was 3-0. Let's deal with what's, you know, the topic at hand. But we were having this question in the pregame today. Who are the 2025 49ers? Once again, let me just give you a few stats. 2 quarterbacks have won on the road. Their offense is averaging only 19 points a game coming into today. Okay. They have no rushing game to speak of. They have no interceptions this year. They've gone 11 straight games without an interception. They're going to play the rest of this year without Nick Bosa. And this just in, Sam O and Yatir Gross-Matos ain't Nick Bosa. All right. Those guys ain't Nick Bosa. The linebackers are great. The wide receiving core has been in a state of flux. The special teams is 28th in DVOA coming into today, and their coverage units are pathetically bad. The red zone offense is an absolute joke. CMC coming into today's 13 carries for 7 yards in the red zone. That ain't getting it done. The offensive line is bad. 29th in run block win rate, 22nd in pass block win rate, 31st in stuffed run percentage. It's a bad line, okay? That has Trent Williams on it, but it's a bad line. I mean, on a positive note, their last 2 number ones, Mikael Williams and Ricky Pearsall, are showing up and playing big, but now Pearsall's down with a knee injury. We'll find out how serious it is. I mean, CMC has carried a crazy offensive load in the first month. That can't continue. They're trying to do this without George Kittle. Now you got Purdy. I want to go back to Purdy because I'd like to know, what was the process in determining who was going to play at quarterback? And I bet you anything the process was, hey, Brock, how do you feel? You want to give it a go? Okay. You do? All right, he's going to play. That's it. I think that's their entire process. I don't think it goes beyond that. And I said it 5 times this week if I said it once. I tweeted it. I talked about it. I did videos to the point where I'm like, I almost got a self-conscious about it. I'm like, am I creating a freaking narrative that doesn't really exist? And then I'm just sitting there going, no, the rest of these guys are just either not reporting it, ignoring it, don't see it, whatever. But what you guys saw today is what I saw all week in practice, all week. This guy was high with his passes all week long. I talked to a buddy of mine who had turf toe, and he's a former quarterback. I said, hey, Purdy's got turf toe. I don't know how severe it is, but he's leaving passes high in practice. He's like, oh, yeah, man, that's exactly what you do when you have turf toe because you can't pound that thing into the ground. So you kind of gently put it down. And when you gently put it down, it throws off your equilibrium and your release point's a little higher and you leave balls in the upper area and high often. And that's what happened. That's literally what happened. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I wanted to see Brian Robinson get more touches. He really didn't. I thought Robert Saleh made this thing juicy by basically telling Liam Coen, hey, we know you guys steal signs. And then I'm sure there was you saw the Twitter thing on the field afterwards, right? You saw on Twitter, Saleh and Liam Coen had to be separated. I get the feeling that Coen's kind of a smart ass, but I'll say this right now, man. He don't want any part of Bob Saleh. I mean, Robert Saleh is pretty jacked. I mean, let's just say if I was running into the Niner coach's room to start kicking ass, I'd be going after Mick Lombardi. I would not be going after Robert Saleh, some guy with a shaved head who's jacked and can probably bench 3 bills. So
like
I don't know.
32 kids.
That's right. You don't want to mess with me, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to mess with me, man.
I mean, I
got that look too.
Yeah, look at Danny.
Me and Frank, man.
Yeah.
Wait till John Dickerson gets here. It'll be skins against hair.
I'm a pussycat. You're the tough guy.
Yeah, Danny runs security for Red. That would be hilarious. That would be so funny if Red did like a show and Danny was the security guy out front.
I love it.
That'd be awesome with some big wraparound shades. I mean, how much of this loss do you want to put on Purdy? Because he was closely attached to almost all these freaking turnovers. I can't stomach the he's not him crowd because those guys are freaking morons. But this was tough to watch, and I definitely think that, I don't know that he's 100% healthy. And to me, if he's not 100% healthy, I'd go back to Mac Jones until he was 100% healthy. That's how I see the toe.
Well, how much blame do you put on those interceptions? I mean, I would say for sure Purdy deserves a good amount of the blame, but on both of them, one of them was tipped off of CMC's hands. On both, I think it hit both. It was
high though.
It was high, but that's kind of like one of those ones where if CMC comes down with that or the ball doesn't get tipped in the air, that's not an interception. And the other one got tipped at the line of scrimmage. That one probably, it's hard to say. That one probably could have been intercepted either way, but you don't know if that one gets intercepted as well.
I think Larry makes a great point, though, and it's analogous to basketball. When you're on the free throw line and your nervous system and your extremities are not even, it affects you. That's why they miss. That's why people miss clutch free throws. And good free throw shooters make most of them. Brock Purdy, when he's accurate, he's throwing missiles straight on line. Those passes, as we all said, have been high. And the reason why they were high is because he wasn't totally comfortable in the pocket. He was a little nervous. He was a little jittery. And as a result, the ball sailed. His receivers actually caught 2 or 3 that were high. Jawan Jennings' catch, there were quite a few that were high. So he was a little nervous today, and I think that was obvious to everybody.
Yeah, a couple other things I thought, Farrell's fumble was crucial. They were driving, and
terrible.
That was a bad fumble. And then I don't know what it is with the officiating.
How about Bourne?
Yeah.
Bourne,
dropped
I know.
the pass.
Bourne made me eat my words. Last week I was saying, thank God for Bourne and his sure-handedness. It was
Yeah.
the
you
exact
know,
opposite.
somebody remind
Terrible.
Bourne, you're a receiver. You're a receiver.
The other thing, there was a
Receive.
momentum.
One of those
killers.
drops could have been a touchdown. Like he was
Yeah.
wide open.
Yeah, I thought the officials. I thought that was just a really crappy call on Upton Stout calling
Yeah, that was
PI. Come on, he touched his towel on his backside barely. He didn't impede anything.
No, that was a great play by Stout. I thought, what did the TV replay show? Because if I'm in the upper deck, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm looking around for the replay and I'm looking down. I just, that thing, to me, it didn't seem definitive at all. It seemed very ticky tack.
Yeah, it was very.
I know he's a
ticky-tack.
rookie, but come on, bro.
It was an
I've seen muggings go uncalled, and this. You know,
it was barely. Mark Sanchez in the booth was kind of saying it was because he had some of his jersey. It was an in-breaking route where he pivoted out and like in that pivot, Stout held on for like a split second, and I guess that's a holding, but it didn't really seem like it stopped them at all. I think that was a bad call.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the other thing that jumps out to me is just that, you know, if you look at the team totals, you're like, well, the Niners didn't run the ball that well, 4-7 to 3-5. But then if you look at the actual individuals, Christian McCaffrey ran for 2.8 a carry or 2.9 a carry, and
2.9.
Travis Etienne ran for 6.5 a carry. I mean, he had a 48-yard run, and that was the backbreaker, but still 6.5 yards a carry. I mean, that's not getting it done. I mean, yeah, you know, I asked Fred about this in the post game. You could see he was disgusted with this effort. So it's a quick turnaround, man. It's a quick turnaround. They play Thursday in LA against the Rams, a good Ram team too. You know, it'll be interesting to see what direction they go at the quarterback spot. I mean, do they go back to Mac? Do they stick with Brock? I mean, Brock's got four turnovers in 2 games. That's not good. Four picks in 2 games. And it's not really even about that as much as it's about his health. And I think you also got a chance to see that even though the Niners were 3-0, their margin for error, they barely beat Seattle. They barely beat the Saints. That was a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. The Saints are not good. You know, they beat the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are no world beater. And you get a Jacksonville team that rolls in here. And I'll tell you what made me nervous as hell is that Trevor Lawrence has not been hit hardly at all this year. And they're sticking with their run game, and they actually have some defensive personnel. So I knew the Niners without Bosa were going to really struggle to get any pressure on Lawrence. And Lawrence is one of those guys, he's real basic. If you pressure him, he craters in the pocket, turns it over, and they lose. But if you don't pressure him, guess what? He finds a way to win. And now he's got a run game and a defense and a true number 1 receiver who kind of woke up a little bit today in Brian Thomas. So I guess if there was one thing that I was like I don't expect the Niners special teams to be good. I was kind of hoping, but why the hell should I hope that they would turn it around? It just seems like it's a sentence. But the Niners used to be able to run the ball and stop the run. And I don't think you can call yourself a legitimate contender for anything if you can't run the ball and if you can't stop an opponent's rushing attack. And that's where they're at right now. They can't stop the run, and they're going to get Kyron Williams and Blake Corum and the Rams on Thursday night, and they can't run the ball. And they really can't run the ball in tight quarters in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some consistent themes that have showed up like in every game, and I think you hit on basically all of them. But coming out of that last game, it's like we're all in sunshine, rainbow, butterfly, happy land because they're 3-0, when in reality they barely escaped a Saints team that's garbage. They barely escaped a Cardinals team that we just saw on Thursday Night Football look absolutely horrendous offensively. And now you play a Jags team that's a little bit competent, and those problems that they had in the previous 3 games are exacerbated even more. Like they cannot run the ball. CMC is running at 2.9 yards per carry today. For the season, he's only had 1 game over 4 yards per carry. Special teams continues to get worse. They can't score in the red zone. They were one of 3 in the red zone again today. And then the turnover battle, like Brock Purdy in his 2 games now has 4 picks in 2 games. That's not good. And those are like eventually like some of those things like you got to turn those around, or like those are serious problems.
I would say the
one other thing. Sorry, Danny, not to jump you, but one other thing I want to throw out. This split. If you had told me coming out of camp that the split between CMC and Brian Robinson was going to be 85% CMC and 15% Brian Robinson, I would have said that's not a good split. And that's today's split. Christian McCaffrey had 6 receptions. They targeted him 11 times in the passing game, and they handed it to him 17 times. 28 times they wanted to go to Christian McCaffrey. They gave Brian Robinson 5 touches. So 33 total touches, 28 for McCaffrey and 5 for Brian Robinson. I mean, I like Christian McCaffrey, but come on, bro. I mean, he's not even going to last till Halloween if you just keep using him this way. The usage of McCaffrey is starting to annoy me.
Yeah,
it's a little too much. It's like, dude, I mean, I understand he's your best back, but you got another back and you got other guys. And it's like, do you want this guy to be, it's like having a workable plan. It's like, if somebody's going to drive 700 miles to work and that's their routine, that's probably not going to work too well. It might work for a day, but it's not going to work for a week. And it's definitely not going to work for 2 weeks. And it's like this 85% workload for CMC over 15% for B-Rob is not sustainable.
Yeah, it's definitely not sustainable. And, the only thing that might be a positive today in a loss is that it's an AFC loss, where the Rams loss was to the Eagles last week. So, when it comes down to tiebreakers and all that, you look at the conference wins and stuff like that. So maybe that comes into play, way down the road. But, the Niners being 3-1, they could easily be 1-3. They could be 2-2. They could be 4-0. They could be 0-4. I mean, it's they've been so tight all their games. So it's really hard to say, who is this team right now? I don't think you really get a gauge on this offense until you see BA back and Kittle healthy. And somebody.
Who's that?
That was right. I just had to mute him.
So yeah, I don't think you really get a really good gauge of this team until about week 10 or 11.
The thing on CMC too is like we're talking about CMC and his usage being a negative in terms of, what if he re-injures himself or he gets injured? How about just normal wear and tear reducing his efficiency overall? Like, we could be seeing that right now. I mean, Christian McCaffrey in this game, this is per NFL Next Gen Stats, he had negative 34 rushing yards over expected, which is the 3rd worst game of his entire career with at least 10 carries. So, like, in terms of what NFL Next Gen Stats expects him to get on a run, he's doing much worse in this game. So, like, the usage is just through the roof. And at some point, it's like he's pushing 30. Maybe you don't give him 30 touches a game and expect him to be tip-top shape every single game.
Yeah. By the way, they just hand me the Brock Purdy transcript. Here's the question. Here's the answer. I said, what did you think of your mechanics as far as your lower body? It seemed like you left some balls high this week at practice, and we saw a little bit of that today. Is that related in any way to the toe? Okay, that was my question. Here's what Purdy said. I'm not really sure. I think just getting back out there and throwing and getting into a rhythm, being down 2 weeks, coming back and feeling out my body and everything, obviously how my toe feels. So honestly, I don't know the answer to that. But obviously, I'm going to watch this film, look at my mechanics, and be real with myself and try to fix that. So that's an interesting. I mean, at least a lot of guys in that situation go, nah, man, nah, just kind of blow it off and then be like, no, kind of leave you kind of dead ended. He kind of, I don't want to say he's agreed, but he at least entertained it, huh? I mean, he didn't just be like, no, that's not it. He's like, I don't know. I got to watch the film, and I got to. So I don't know. Maybe there is something to that. I don't know. We'll see.
He was definitely throwing off his back foot. I mean, like from the jump, like
Yeah.
the first thing I noticed is just that his feet look different. Like normally his footwork is impeccable. And they were just kind of just like cement blocks. And he was just throwing off his back foot, which it's like, I don't know. Again, like if you're Roethlisberger, I mean, hell, if you're Matt Stafford with a deviated disc or whatever, like, you can kind of do whatever you want to do because you have 99th percentile arm strength. But like for him, like he's just throwing lollipops. And honestly, like even the ones he completed for the first time really since Brock Purdy's like been on this team. And I trust him, implicitly. I know he's going to get healthy and he'll be all right. But like right now, when he drops back and lets go of the ball, I have the Jimmy G feels where I'm like, I have no idea where that's going. I have no idea.
Yeah,
this could be
catch,
bad.
The nice pass to not pass, but play Bourne down the sideline. That was a little bit thrown off. And then even the one to CMC that he ran down the side, those passes were like, oh my gosh.
Or the deep ball to Pearsall, was that a back shoulder fade or was that just underthrown and Pearsall?
Yeah, that was like the Flacco, like throw it short, draw the PI special, but it just happened to work out.
There was one play I wanted. Were you going to say something, Frank? Go ahead.
No, I'll wait till you finish. Go ahead.
No, I have one question I was going to ask you guys because there was a part in this game I didn't get. It was beginning of the second quarter. It was Jacksonville's third drive. Okay, they start the ball on their own 11. Lawrence throws to Brian Thomas on first down for 6 yards. Then there's a penalty on Jacksonville. They're in 2nd and 12 from the 9. Okay, so then Lawrence throws incomplete. There's another penalty on Jacksonville for holding. So now it's 2nd and 12, and the 49ers, I didn't understand this. It was 2nd and 12. They called a hold on Jacksonville. The Niners could have made it 3rd and 17.
Right.
Yeah.
Or 3rd and 12, I should say. Right? It would have been 3rd and 17. But instead,
it was 2nd and 17.
It was 2nd and 17, and then Etienne ran for 24. Ran for 2 yards on 2nd and 17. But then on 3rd and 15, Lawrence threw to Hunter against Siegel for 29 yards, and the Niners challenged the catch and lost the challenge. Eventually, Lawrence on this drive hit Hunter Long for a 4-yard touchdown reception to make it 14-3. But why did the Niners not accept the penalty and make it 3rd and 15? I don't. Why was it?
They talked about that at the end of the game. They also talked about it on the broadcast. I think what happened was the refs actually made the mistake where they didn't even offer Shanahan to not accept the penalty. And then Shanahan tried to call a timeout to get them to reverse it, but they told him, and this is what he said in the press conference after, that they had already made the call, so they can't go back. So which screwed them. So it was 2nd and 17. It was 2nd and 17 on a holding call because they went half distance to the goal because they were already in their end zone instead of getting 3rd and 12. And then then Hunter makes that crazy catch, which they challenge, and he probably did drop it, but they didn't have a good enough angle to overturn.
I know, I saw that too. I thought he dropped
it. Really screwed him.
But the way his body smothered it, there was no definitive angle, and so they had to go with the ruling on the field. But man, what 2 really bad breaks? I mean, if you think about it, a call, a non-catch that there was no good replay despite 9 camera angles, and a penalty that was botched that would have led to a 3rd and long situation. Instead, they had 2 downs and they got the first. And then they scored a touchdown on the drive. So I don't know. I mean, that to me, I thought was
Did you guys think maybe the turning point of the game, the Niners, when they were driving to get back in it, when Farrell fumbled, then Etienne next play runs for a touchdown, like 6. That was just a total backbreaker.
Well,
the Niners
and the tackling on that play, Danny, was horrible.
Yeah.
Pinnock. I mean, what's Pinnock thinking? And he wasn't the only guy, but
he got deked out. Like Etienne gave him like a one-step jab, and he just went flying.
And then you had the kickoff or the punt. I mean, the return punt.
Yeah, that punt return makes me want to throw up.
Oh my gosh! I was watching the punt coverage. They, because you see it on the replay and TV from the back view. I mean, they just one guy, I can't remember who it was. He kind of looked like he got out of his lane, and then he just, I'm going to go this way, and the blocker just pushed him right. He was the last guy because then it was up to the punter, and that was a foot race he wasn't going to win.
I mean, and once again, Parker Washington. I mean, who? Seriously. I mean, that's 87-yard punt return. I think he might have gone. Did he go untouched, or did somebody touch him?
Yeah, I think Woodpit 420 is right. He says first guy has to break down there. Yeah, he came flying, the first guy, the gunner, and he was going so fast he couldn't break down and
It looked like there were 6 guys. It looked like there were 6 guys on the Niners kickoff team or punt return team. Like it was like he made 3 guys miss, and then there was no one to tackle. It's ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Did you see
They're
that
terrible.
graphic going around with like the average starting field position with all the new kick? Yeah, it's like the 49ers are the worst in the league. Rams,
worst.
I think, are either number 1 or worst. The average starting field position. This is before today. I think was 33 yards.
Right, 33.8 yard line is their average starting position. It was dead freaking last.
Dead last.
And this was, how many times do we talk about Brant Boyer
starting position?
That's the Niners' opponent's starting position average coming into today. I mean, now obviously it's probably worse today, right? Guy just ran one back. It was the 33.8 yard line, and that was dead last in the NFL. And it's like, how are you going to do this? I mean, I picked the Niners to go to the Super Bowl this year with the Chargers. Now, okay, you want to say it's a hometown pick, fine. I just was looking at special teams going, it can't be any worse. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it can be worse because they were bad. They've been bad. Like the coverage units, like we were in the Superdome for the Niners Saints. The Saints almost busted one. It's like you can see it. It's like they're I don't know what to say about their special teams. I mean, they had the disaster kicker, then they somehow miraculously get rescued by Eddie Pinheiro. So now you got a veteran kicker who's really, really solid, and you got your hand-picked punter, your hand-picked long snapper.
Got Saron Neal. You signed Gifford. You got all your special teams.
Saron Neal, Luke Gifford, and all these guys are dedicated for special teams. It's like, dude. If I'm Jed, I'd go right into that room and be like, bro, Kyle, I spent big money on special teams. Where's the results? I want to see some results.
Also, like, how about a blocked kick? Like, I don't know, just, every once in a while, like you'd think something random would happen and result in a blocked kick. Don't ever get them. The Steelers seem to get them all the time.
Guess who had a blocked kick today for the Eagles?
Who?
Jordan Davis.
Latu.
Okay.
Cam Latu. That's really it. They should never have gotten rid of Cam Latu. I don't know about this one. Now, there's always somebody in this postgame that's even more negative than me. This team technically should be 0-4. Come on, Frank. Not of course our Frank, but Frank Sanborn. Unbelievable. All right. 0-4. Come on, that's a little harsh. They shouldn't be 0-4. But you know what's going to be interesting? It's going to be interesting to see. I think the 49ers just let Brock Purdy start. I think they just let him make the call. I don't think, well, believe me, I watched every single practice. Shanahan's line of like, Purdy's more ready to go than Jones. Says who? I'd love to. Says you? So, I mean, says the trainer.
Well, that's the factor that you're not really.
Mac Jones didn't say that.
If Mac Jones is actually significantly injured, then it's a whole different story.
What's that?
If Mac Jones is actually significantly more injured than
he wasn't he wasn't significantly injured enough to not be the number 2 today, right? He was the number 2. So obviously he can go. I'm just saying it's interesting. Brock's answer there where I got to watch the film and be real with myself. Well, what if he watches the film and decides that, you know what, the toe is bothering me and it's leaving passes up and I don't have the mobility. What if he takes himself out for Thursday night? What would your guys' reaction be? Because I would applaud it. I would say, you know what? This is a guy who's being real. This is a guy who knows he's, His margin for error is not great, and he needs his accuracy. To me, there's three things that make Brock Purdy Brock Purdy. He processes, he's accurate and on time, okay, and he's got next level escapability. If you put in a toe injury, now he processes, but the accuracy is not there and the escapability is not there. So, there were a couple runs today where I felt like the first couple steps were just kind of gingerly. Yep. He didn't look the same to me. His movement does not look the same. He looks sore. Maybe it's from all the years I spent at a racetrack watching horses, but I can tell the difference between a sore gait and just a normal gait. And Brock Purdy's normal, foot speed and movement is much more explosive than what you saw today. Now, it didn't necessarily burn him today, but I think it might have burned him as far as his accuracy, because it seemed like every single time there was a errant throw, he was leaving it high. And I got to think that's related to the toe. So I don't know. I would love it if he came out and said, you know what? I've watched it and I've decided I'm not ready and I don't want to hurt the team. And I think they ought to go back to Mac Jones against the Rams. I don't expect him to say that, but I would think more highly of him if he did that.
But if this was basketball, yes. But this is football. Guy's ever going to come out and say that with the locker. No chance.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's a great week to do it though, because
if he does say it though. Let me ask you this, and all you guys, I want your thoughts on this. What would be the team's reaction to him if he said that? If he said, you know what, I'm just not quite right, and I don't think I'm helping the team if I'm not 100%, and I think Mac ought to start Thursday night. What do you think the reaction would be?
I think they frowned on it.
They what?
I think they would frown on it. I don't think they would do it publicly. But I think they were frowned on it because you're 4 games in. Nobody's 100% right now. Everybody's hurting.
True.
So you got to strap it up. And the fact that he has a $250 million contract, you think they don't know that also? So
yeah.
It's a tough person sport, and he's a tough guy. And I mean, from a moral perspective, I think you might be right. But these are all football players. He's going to show up.
There's a way to handle that, though. Kyle could come out and say, after looking things over, looking at the film, talking to the trainer and Brock, we feel like it's a short week. We only got 3 days to prepare, and it's a long season. There's no quarterback controversy. He'll be back. This is a good opportunity for him to get, 2 weeks rest, and Mac will be the quarterback for Thursday night. Again, I want to reiterate, there's no quarterback controversy. This is a health issue.
Yeah, I mean, if Purdy somehow got worse with the injury, or they want I get it, but the thing that sucks about that is it just makes it's so much more messy now if you have Mac going in just because you're not sure about Purdy. It would have been better to just sit Purdy for another week and then go, all right, Purdy, you're playing for the rest of the season, then being oh, it's Purdy, then now it's Mac, now it's Purdy. It's that's not the continuity that you want.
Right.
That's the only thing.
Imagine this. Mac Daddy Jones goes out on Thursday Night Football, when all the talking heads are going to be talking about the game before and after. He goes out on his bum knee, plays hurt, wins the game. Then what's the discourse?
Well, I mean, it's a great point, but it's guess when you never have a quarterback dilemma, when your number 2 guy's horse shit. You notice that? Mm-hmm. They never had a quarterback dilemma last year. It was never well, wait a second. What if we go to Brandon Allen and hey, you know what? If Josh Dobbs, you see what I'm saying? It's you got to decide. Do you want a real second quarterback or do you want a joke second quarterback? Do you want a placeholder or a backup, a true career backup? I shouldn't say joke. That's mean-spirited. But basically, do you want to have a real number 2? And they have a real number 2. So this is kind of, I don't know, the downside of a real number 2 is that, yeah, if you have a real number 2, there's always that chance that there could be some kind of a debate between who's the better guy. I think Brock is clearly better than Jones because of his next level movement ability and his quickness. But the toe injury saps him of a lot of that quickness. And if it's also saps him of his accuracy, now I'm got a question, if it's just processing, I think Matt can process. If it's processing and accuracy, I kind of like Purdy a little bit more. If it's processing, accuracy, and escapability, I like Purdy a lot more. But if you take away the escapability and then the accuracy kind of wanes, maybe I'd rather have Mac because they both kind of process and it's a long year too. It's a long year. I also hate taking a quarterback out of the lineup that's 1-2 in a row. I mean, I don't think that's not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
All right. Kev, I don't have my sleeper read. I don't know if you have a read. Maybe you could do the read on your end if you have the read, because I don't have the read with me. But
let me just pull up this line. This was the lineup today. Promo code Larry, link in the description. But this was the lineup today.
So we had less than 1.5 touchdowns for Lawrence. What do you have? One. So that one.
There's the actual right in the middle.
We had a
Anytime touchdown, Christian McCaffrey, he had 1.
He did.
Brian Thomas under 62.5 receiving yards. He had 49.
That one.
And then ETN over 52.5 rushing yards.
Oh, so we won.
24. Yeah.
Oh, we're winners.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Look at that. $5. We made $36.35. Now I put it back on my parlays today, but either way, get a $100.
Really not. We know that's not $5. We know it's 5,000. Larry,
yeah, that's right.
So it's abbreviated.
Get a $100 deposit match up to $100 when you use code Larry at Sleeper. And thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun because we've won most of the time. I mean, I would say we've won at least 4 times already. So
you've won every week. That's one of the lineups has won.
You're gonna put your sponsor out of business.
Seriously, we were brought to you by Sleeper.
It's easy. It's easy. Everybody wins.
They banned us from their site.
Sleeper went belly up because everybody wins. And thank you, Sleeper. All right. Should we hit some supers or do you want to go do you want to?
No, let's hit supers.
Okay, let's hit some supers. All right. We got Michael in the house. He says 49ers need an upgrade from Brendel. No push up front. I mean,
oh yeah, that last play of the game. You know who was guarding Eric Armstead, who strip fumbled Purdy? It was Jake Brendel.
Didn't Brendel also have another play in this game? I have to go back and watch it, but I heard somebody say, "Oh, yep, that was on Brendel," or maybe he had a key penalty. Did he have a key penalty in the second half?
I think he might have had a false start. He snapped the ball.
Oh, it was a false. Yeah, yes, it was a false start with the ref called out the center. Once again, he's awesome. He's an amazing center. He's freaking Mike Webster, Dwight Stevenson, Bart Oates all rolled into fucking one, except you can't run for shit inside the red zone. And, whatever. I mean, as you can tell, it pisses me off. Mike 824 says O-line run blocking is straight up diarrhea.
I would love to hear the answer to that. I mean, Shanahan's explained it saying, "Oh, it's the 2 shell high defenses that we're facing," but it's like if you have the best running back in the world and your offensive line is very good, apparently. Why are you running for 2.9 yards a carry against a team? It's ridiculous.
You have the best running back in football, but you can't run, and it's all because of the 2 shell. I think what he's saying is I think what he meant to say is the 3 shell. And the running back is under the shell, and you do that shell game, with the 3 shells. Where's our running game? Where's our running game? Where's our running game? Oh, it's under the 3rd shell. That's why we couldn't find our running game. It's a 3 shell issue, not a 2 shell.
Well, it's like he never wants to. Since Shanahan's came to the Niners, he has never gave a shit about the interior offensive line, be it center, left guard, right guard. He just has never cared. That's why it always ends up biting the Niners in the ass when they have to get into a drop back passing game and they're trailing. It's like they get heated up. But usually they're able to take care of the run game because they have these fast running backs and usually their tackles are decent. But it's like now that we're kind of just running the ball up the gut with McCaffrey, maybe invest in the interior O-line because that's where it's going to help.
Hey, here's another novel concept. How about get a fucking game breaker? Do you have anybody on your offense that's at all would be considered fast? How about
Garendo.
speed? Yeah, Garendo might as well be in Siberia. I mean, he's been banished. That guy's never playing again.
What's wrong with Cowing? Is he out for the whole season, or what's
wrong with
him?
Cowing? He's glass. He's made of fine china.
Yeah, I know. He's never available.
Yeah, he's hurt all the time. I mean, it's just like they have to find some weapon. I mean, Jordan Watkins, I thought was that weapon. Now he's hurt, but you have no speed at tight end. You have no speed at receiver. I mean, your best receivers are JJ. Now with Pearsall hurt, you really don't have any speed. I thought,
it's like they like slow, strong, big possession receivers, and they like small, fast, fragile receivers. It's like there's no in between. It's like, let's get a guy who can run 4.3, but he's going to snap in half the second we give him the ball, or let's get this guy who runs 4.7 and he'll just get hit in the ribs and catch everything. But then
it's like get a fast receiver. Like you never look at Tutu Atwell today. The guy's just running like he's a fast receiver. Every once in a while, a corner stumbles and you have an 80-yard touchdown. Like that's just not even an option for the Niners.
Look at the screen, the bottom of the screen. I can make it a tic-tac-toe.
Hey.
There we go. Tic-tac-toe.
See, guys, this show is brought to you by hair cream. The guys on the bottom are about to put the cream on. The guys up top put the cream on before the show. We were all bald at 3:00. And look at the tremendous growth that Kev has. I mean, that is that is just in the last that's just in the last 45 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. This product works. All right. JD joins the mix. JD, we're just talking about how the Niners don't really have, I mean, we're not putting this all on this, but we've been doing this for a while. There's not a game breaker. I mean, McCaffrey obviously has good speed, but like all their receivers for the most part are slow. They don't really have, like, I'm looking at Bashul Tootin. I'm looking at their running game. I'm looking at Brian Thomas. I'm looking at Parker Washington. Where's the Niners game breaker? It seems like they could really use a little bit, whether it be Cowing or a Watkins or somebody, just some dynamic element. Because it's just they don't move the ball particularly quick. And then we would commented before you got in here as well that it's very frustrating that when the Niners fall behind by 2 scores in the fourth quarter, they're huddling up. They're taking their sweet time. It's like they get all the time in the world. I don't, Shanahan says they practice a hurry up. I've never seen it, and I don't see it a lot in games. So that's a frustrating thing. Give us your perspective, JD.
Yeah, it's interesting because Kyle Shanahan has explained this in the past. He has been asked about it in this situation where you're down 2 scores with about, let's say, 10 minutes to go. He basically says that he looks at it as, well, I've got 2 possessions and the opposition's going to get 1 and we're going to have to stop them. And it's basically have to score, get the stop, have to score. In essence, there's 3. It's the bottom of the 8th inning, basically. You're going to get your at bat. They're going to get their at bat. You're going to have to stop them, and then you're going to get your at bat, and you basically have to hit in all phases, and that becomes, in a sense, I guess, more important than trying to maybe add an extra possession by going quicker or put more time back on the clock. It's just, nope, you got 2 shots. The game's been whittled down to that. You got to score. You got 1 shot to get a stop. You got to do it. And so the patience is something that's more in play there, and allowing your defense to be rested and ready to go, if they get that opportunity to get the stop, which the 49ers did get today, as much as there is, the complaining about, the pace of play there in the early fourth quarter when they're down a couple of scores. And I hear you. It frustrates me. The crowd gets antsy and gets frustrated with it. You can feel it in the building, and could today. But the way they played it worked. They got the score, they got the stop, they got the ball back, and then
turned it over again.
So that's kind of my take on that. And I'll just, the other thing that you brought up in terms of a more dynamic, speed, take the top off the defense, playmaking type. I mean, yes, I think the 49ers could use that. But you know what they could have used today?
What?
Catching the freaking rock with the guys that they have. And if they do that, they win the game. Maybe even despite maybe they would have had a couple fewer turnovers, but I think this team has the talent, especially when they're closer to full strength, to do enough offensively to be successful. So I think, to me, that's more of a, when you lose, you kind of look at everything and then you get frustrated by the big picture deficiencies of your team, as opposed to just looking at the team that you have and saying, how could the team that you do have get the job done? And I think, as awful as the Niners played today in many ways, and defensively, let's be honest, they were not good defensively in the first half for sure. And, they got better defensively as the game went on. They got worse offensively, I think, in terms of being able to move the football as the game went on. But the turnovers, when they were moving the football, completely wrecked the game. And that worked, in conjunction with when the Jags were able to get their offense going. I mean, really, the game was lost in the 2 touchdowns that the Jags were able to score off of the 2 49er turnovers in the second quarter there. And so that's the ball game, or in the first half. And so, now this team's instantly up against it. They've got, I think, the 2 best teams on their schedule coming up the next 2 games. Maybe there's a debate to be had about that. But it's the Rams and it's at Tampa, and it's not going to get any easier. I think Brock Purdy was clearly not 100% today, but I will say this. I think he was at a higher percentage than Mac Jones was at heading into this game. I think Mac was really banged up. And, if Brock was at 80%, I think Mac was probably closer to 50 or maybe even lower than that, although capable of being the backup quarterback today. And he was officially active for the game. So they got to clean it up. It was the first kind of all systems fail in a lot of ways, where the offense clearly wasn't good enough. And I think in the first half, the defense was definitely not good enough, although they played better as the game went on.
I mean, Jacksonville averaged 7-1 a carry in the first half. So, that ain't good for sure on the defensive side. And, this was a all around bad game on special teams. Not a great game on offense.
Wasn't a great Shanahan game either. Like, no. Do I want to decline the penalty or not? Like that,
yeah, we talked about that as well.
Taking a timeout here, leaving a timeout there. I mean, it was sloppy.
It was sloppy
in all phases.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Let's hit a couple more of these supers. Harry Johnson, yes, he says KB's drop led to the punt return touchdown. It's JJ's touchdown drop cost us points. Those hurt. 4 turnovers, and we were still in it at the end. Tiny moral victory. You know what they say, the moral advantages of losing have been greatly exaggerated. Ernest Sire, I don't recall many rollouts by Brock. No, I mean, I felt yeah, there were the first two passes were, but for the most part, I felt like he at the top of his drop, he just stood there. And also, I didn't feel like his footwork didn't seem strong. He didn't seem like he was really had his feet under him. Maybe that's just me knowing he's got the toe, but I thought he didn't look like Brock. And I'll be interested to see what they do coming out of this thing with him. If they give him more rest, if he decides he needs more rest, or if they roll him out there Thursday night. Ernest Sire says, okay, there we go. We got that one. We got this one from DeBig. Everyone is to blame for the loss, starting with the coaching. Everyone? I mean, none of us are to blame, right? Saleh lit a fire under the Jags with his sign-stealing accusation. Looks like Saleh got into it with the Jags players during the handshake. Well, what did you guys think there? Now, nobody's going to bang on Robert Saleh because everybody loves Robert Saleh. But what do you think of DeBig's point? Did Robert Saleh, because here's the interesting thing about that. That was Robert Saleh's game plan. That wasn't Larry Krueger asked him a tough question and he didn't know what he was saying. Nobody asked him a tough question. He brought that up. He brought that up out of thin air. He wanted to introduce that line of questioning, that line of discussion. If DeBig is right, I mean, if you guys agree with DeBig, did Robert Saleh light a fire under the Jaguars with his comments? Should he have just shut his pie hole on this thing, or is that a non-factor here, and that's just it's stuff that it's a talking point, but it had no impact. Let's go around the room. What do you guys think? Kev,
I think it was a factor.
Frank, what do you think? Go ahead,
I think it was a factor simply because the way Jacksonville came out, they came out with more intensity. They were flying around the field, and the 49ers were not. The 49ers worked themselves into what I thought was a decent defensive effort. They didn't put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but I thought that they played hard. And last year I saw this team not play hard. So, yeah, I just think that Robert Saleh thought his team would back him up and respond accordingly. And they didn't. It actually raised the effort of Jacksonville, and that put them in a much better position than the 49ers at the start of the game.
You never want to give a competitor an extra edge. That's because that's what they are by nature. They're competitors. So you give them a little extra edge, it just pisses guys off, pisses coaches off.
But he did it on purpose, Danny. What do you think? I mean, you're a smart guy. I mean, what do you think, Dan? Do you think he did it on purpose? I mean, it wasn't like he got caught in a tough question or he didn't know what he was saying. He thought about it and decided he wanted to talk about it and then introduced it. And then Shanahan said, well, it was a long-worded way of patting him on the back. Well, guess what? Saleh-Coen didn't think so because when he was asked about it, I mean, we could play the cut probably of when he was asked about it earlier this week. He's like, I don't want to talk about it and this and that. But you could tell. It's like, dude, you're Robert Saleh called you a cheater. He said that you're a sign-stealing cheater. And nobody wants to be called a sign-stealing cheater, so he pushed back.
Coen went at him, and there was the little skirmish and the back and forth. And I don't know if you guys caught it or not, but there was the audio. I mean, Saleh-Coen
Did
said,
you hear it?
Keep your name out of my mouth. Like he
what he
yelled
said?
at Saleh, keep my name out of your mouth. As they were like he went at him and kind of got held back, and there was some pushing and shoving, and so it did get caught, I think, by a Jacksonville television station that was able to be on the field in that moment, right when the game ends, and players and coaches are shaking hands. So Coen went at Saleh and keep my name out of your mouth. So it was clearly on his mind, and he wanted.
But
to
I
make
don't
a
know.
point to say something.
I don't know if that really it doesn't. Does any of this really matter though? Like we're talking about it because they lost. And so
I think
I
think it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help usually.
Right.
It's
why
like,
would you
but
give?
it's like,
why
it's
would
like
you?
trash
Why
talk. It's kind
incentivize?
of like trash talk. It's like, oh,
Why
Draymond Green
incentivize?
trash talks the defender, therefore the defender is going to try harder. So Draymond Green shouldn't trash talk. Or if Draymond Green plays well and the Niners win this game, like in reverse. Oh yeah, I got in Saleh-Coen's head. Like it's just like whatever way you want it to look.
I think I don't know. To me, Saleh, he's not saying that if he doesn't have head coaching experience. Okay. He comes out because he's used to talking to the media in New York. Now he's like, oh, okay, I'm used to being the head guy. So he speaks with brashness and confidence. If he was just Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator, and never been a head coach, I don't think he makes those comments.
Look at that. That's Danny taking a sharp. Rye, what do you think?
I mean, I just thought the whole like verbiage of everything was like weird to begin with. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like most guys, you ask like Bill I don't think that would have flied in like Bill Belichick's building. Like, I don't think he would want coaches. Like, could you imagine like, somebody on Belichick's staff coming out and like taking shots like that? I just couldn't. I mean, it's a kind of a different day in football, but I mean, the Jaguars and the 49ers are, they have nothing to do with one another. And the Niners kind of have been, clapping those cheeks, I think, for the last like 15 years. And it's like, why give anything to make, especially a play calling head coach, to make him a little more focused or to get the boys fired up? It doesn't really make sense, but
I wonder how Eric Armstead felt about that.
Could
you define clapping those cheeks?
Yeah, I think like 6-0, maybe 7-0.
We got this one from. Does that say? What does that say? Sells surprised face. Purdy's fumble killed the comeback. Unforgivable mistake. Take the check down instead of going for the big play. Yeah, he's a big play guy. You gotta know where, you gotta sense where the rush is coming. But yeah, I mean, how about this? How about block better for him? I mean, that would be one counter to that as well. We got this one from Jersey 6. I knew we shouldn't sign Purdy. He got paid. Now, what's that? A thumbs down? Yeah, there's going to be people that are going to be coming for Purdy. Nick Wright's probably writing something.
The thing though is it's like Purdy basically has to be at tip-top shape for this offense to really click, because he's not really throwing to anyone. I mean, if you take CMC out of the equation, Ricky Pearsall now hurt his knee. He was out for most of the game once he got his knee injury. Like, who is he throwing to? Kendrick Bourne, who's dropping the ball. Jake Tonkus is his best receiver right now. Like, there's not much going on right now.
I mean, listen, let's give Tonkus a little credit. This guy went from not making the team, to maybe being on a practice squad, being nobody, to guess what? He's opening some eyes around the NFL. This dude is playing pretty good football.
He can catch. He can catch
the ball. And he can run.
Yeah.
He can run.
He took some big hits in this thing, too. Daryl, 49er for life, Smock says, Brock Purdy did not look injured to me. Can't use that as an excuse. Well, I hear what you're saying. I mean, doesn't look injured to you, but ultimately his accuracy was not the accuracy that we've come to expect. And, the bottom line is the 49ers won the first 3 games, but the margin for error in those games was not tons. And all it would really take, I mean, Brock Purdy was on point in week 1. He was not as on point today. He was high on several passes. And I think that's what that's what I saw in practice this week. I saw a quarterback that was high to his targets. Now, it got a little bit better on Friday, and he didn't throw any high passes on Friday, but he did throughout the week. And the other thing is, it's like, we don't really have anything to know other than what they tell us. If they know they're going to start Brock Purdy, the last thing they're going to say is, and by the way, Mac Jones is less hurt than Brock Purdy, right? So, like, they told us Mac Jones was more hurt than Brock Purdy. But, so what? Have a filter, think critically. If Mac Jones was really hurt, he wouldn't have been the number 2 quarterback today. But he was the number 2 quarterback today. So he would have played if Brock got hurt. I just think they put this in Brock's hands. I think they said, hey, you're our $265 million quarterback. It's your pain threshold. It's your decision. What do you think? Can you practice? And if you can practice, then it's your call. And he practiced and he wanted to play. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does this week. Because when I asked him that question, he was like, well, you know what? I got to watch the film and I got to evaluate it. I got to decide and I got to be honest with myself. I thought that was a very interesting quote from him, and it'll be interesting to see how he approaches it. Does he say, you know what, I think I'm hurting the team, I'm going to pull myself out, or does he say, you know what, my toe pain and my inaccuracy in this game have absolutely nothing to do with one another, and so I'm good to go Thursday? I don't know. I don't know what he's going to say.
I also think he has to be the healthier of the 2 quarterbers. Which I do not
Probably.
think he's the healthy. I do think he is the healthier of the 2 quarterbacks right now, Brock. Like that. Yeah, Mac could get out there and all that, but I think I don't know, Krueger, where are you on that right now?
Well,
who's the healthier of the 2?
Here's the thing, JD. It's to me, it's about the nature of these injuries. The nature of a turf toe, as we just saw with Burrow and we saw with Patrick Willis and others, it sounds really benign, but it's really, really very, very serious. So I don't know if he even has turf toe, if he has a toe injury. I mean, Shanahan was reluctant to even just go with the prognosis of turf toe. So it's like, if we can't even,
because I think enough people know that that's severe.
Yeah,
I think they didn't want to say turf toe because turf toe is
severe.
Something that even if it's not the Joe Burrow level where you need surgery, it's something that's going to be extremely painful for the rest of the season.
Okay,
basically, and the only way it goes away is when you get months of rest.
Okay, so let's just assume, and I don't know, but let's just assume the 2 injuries are Purdy, turf toe of some kind, and Mac, let's just call it a knee strain, right? Or maybe a knee sprain or strain. Well, I think it really depends, but I really think the turf toe is the one that could get more problematic easier. And I would want to rest more for the turf toe than for the knee. But once again, I'm not in the meetings with these guys. Mac might be saying, dude, my knee is aching and I can't feel it or what, and Brock might be saying, I feel great. You know what I mean? So we're not privy to any of that. We're just looking at practice and how they're moving. And Mac, to me, was fooling around on Friday. He was having fun. They were playing games. They were throwing, little fades to the ball boy, and they were having a good time, having some competition. He didn't see, and to me, Mac Jones looks identical to the Mac Jones that I saw all summer. I'm not seeing him slower, or he doesn't seem like he's got a giddy up or weird limp. So I would think the toe is more severe than the knee, but I also think that it was Brock's call this time, and I think it's probably Brock's call on Thursday. And I'm going to be I'll say this: if he takes himself out on Thursday, I will not be one of those people going, he doesn't want it. He's not a leader. He's not tough. He's not this. I'm not going to do any of that. If he takes himself out, I'm going to credit him and say, you know what? He knows himself and he's making the right call. There's going to be other people that are going to go the other way on that. If he takes himself out, there will be people that will bring all kinds of criticism. How will you guys react if Thursday night it's Mac Jones, and it's Mac Jones because Brock Purdy said, hey, you know what? I'm not right. I mean, how would you guys react to that? Honestly, be honest with yourselves.
I don't think it happens. I'll just jump in. I don't think it happens because I think
it would shock you if it happened.
It would, yeah. It would shock me if Purdy doesn't start on Thursday for Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Now, if there's a determination made off of that game with another week and a half for Mac to get healthier, maybe there comes a point where Mac's the healthier of the two quarterbacks going into Tampa, and then there's a decision to be made. But I do not foresee that in the next 4 days. So yeah, I'd be shocked.
Anybody have a thought on that?
Yeah, I don't want to be honest with myself, so I pass.
He cannot be honest. He's just a lying sack at nature.
As an older, more mature person now, I would have respect for him, and I would look at it as an opportunity to play. If I'm Mac Jones, I would be like, well, yo, man, thank you. I really appreciate you thinking about the team, knowing this is going to be an opportunity for me. As a player who's young and full of venom and not necessarily seeing the big picture, I can see how some guys could look at him a little differently. But I think the broader perspective on people who know him would probably admire him in some ways. But I think it would be split on the team. I don't think it would be unanimous.
Rye, Kev, what do you guys think?
I don't know. If I heard that, I wouldn't like it, because that would be so shocking to me that if I heard it, I would just be really upset, because I would then assume that this has turned into a worse situation. Like, this is like we're getting closer to Burrow territory. I also did want to mention, Kev, dude, you should totally get a quote card on Twitter. Just Larry Krueger. I was at practice and Purdy was high every day.
Put that on a shirt.
Right after we come up with the Eddie De Niro shirt. Kev, do you have a thought?
I mean, I just think it's kind of a non-topic. Like, I don't see, and barring another injury that comes out of this, or his toe injury is exacerbated because he played or something like that. Like, I just don't see Purdy taking himself out. Like, that would just be really stupid if he takes himself out, like, after putting himself in a game. It's just, I don't think that would ever happen. And if it does, I'm with the rest of everyone. I'll be extremely shocked.
That would be like the hokey pokey. You put your right toe in.
Yeah. Like, it's seriously, it's a circus. Like, what are we doing? Like, if Purdy's like, I'm sitting this week. Like, what?
Yeah. I think it's a non-issue. Ridiculous. The fact that he played today just tells me he's going to play. And, I don't think they would have put him out there if there was that much risk to him being, hurt further and being lost for the season.
I'll tell you somebody who's might not. Did you guys talk about Pearsall? Speaking of somebody who doesn't sound like he's going to be playing on Thursday.
Yeah, his knee seems like it's
why
serious.
I didn't.
They're getting a precautionary MRI apparently.
Oh, jeez.
He mentioned stability. Like, he mentioned that it was sore and it didn't have the stability he wanted, and that's where I wasn't going down the like ACL route, like, here's Nick Bosa all over again, but he sounded like it sounded like there is a 0% chance he's going to play on Thursday night. So
Wow.
Stability scares you because that is generally
structural.
Structural. Yeah. I saw that. I don't know if you guys saw that play today with Malik Neighbors. He just started to jump and just saw it go right in the middle. He was airborne and he knew it was gone.
But this one,
he landed, right, Kev? Like he hit the ground hard.
Yeah, this one felt more like, or I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but it looked more like Pearsall hit his knee hard on the ground.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Which wouldn't usually cause an ACL.
Well, ACL is usually
maybe it's a bone bruise, but either way, bone bruises can take weeks to.
It could take a long time.
Ernest Sire says, I don't recall many rollouts from Brock. We got this one from Oli Kao. Worst thing about the loss, quarterback controversy talks. I don't know if there's really going to be quarterback controversy talks, but it could be coming. Cell's surprised face. Chuck E. Cheese Kyle has 0 clock management IQ. Okay. We got Heck Dell sign check for Trey Hendrickson. Well, it's really more about the draft choice, which is also kind of interesting. Daniel Jeremiah told Guy Haberman that if he thought a 3rd-round pick and a day 3 pick would get it done. It's like,
I don't think Daniel Jeremiah knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I love Daniel Jeremiah as a draft guy, but Daniel, that ain't right. Gold Rush, has Kyle stopped Brock's run game? Well, no, I think Brock's toe injury has stopped Brock's run game to some degree. Claw-Daddy Arcades is in the house, who's a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades. Courtesy of Claw-Daddy Arcades, Kev and I were in New Orleans for week 2. He says 2 turnovers that led to touchdowns and a special team punt return was the difference, in my opinion. Despite lacking quarterback pressure and no takeaways, our D and the Jags penalties shockingly kept them in the game. The Niners through a month. Thank you for that, Claudette. The Niners through a month of football have 0 interceptions and 0 rushing touchdowns. Which is worse in your opinion?
I think the rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean they're not moving anybody in the interior of the offensive line in the run game, and it's pretty obvious, and definitely in the red zone.
I mean,
go ahead, Frank.
No, we had the conversation last week. I don't understand why they don't let Brian direct direct snap. I mean, try something different, because they are very, very predictable in the red zone.
Well, it's like they can't run. They can't run they're so terrible in their own red zone at running the ball that Shannon has to get cute to even get anything close to running. They had to fake the handoff to CMC, then step back, then toss it to him, and then he squirms his way into the end zone. It's like
if you can't run in the red zone and teams know that, it's like just makes it very difficult to score TDs at all. They're fortunate when they do score.
I did locate the sound here. Here we go.
Oh, this would be good.
What are you looking for?
The Saleh sound bite.
Do you want me to play that? Because I don't think you're playing it. Can you guys see that or no?
No. What's that? You guys didn't see that?
No. I'll play it.
Okay. I thought I was playing it.
Jaguars 26 and the 49ers 21.
You better leave Saleh alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I if I was Liam Coen, man, I think I might just head back to the locker room.
Yeah,
and just call it a day.
Hey, I got to head out real quick. I got to go pick up my son at work. So He's
No
just
problem,
getting
Danny.
off work. But thanks. I don't know if you guys, if I'll be back in 15 minutes. I'm not sure if you'll still be on.
If we're here, we're here, but we might not
right.
be. But Danny, good to see you.
Yeah,
Well, there you go. The great Dan Coach Amelia. All right.
I'm going to relocate here, guys, just real quick. So I'm going to be off for just a second, but I'm going to relocate.
No swear. We'll take you down and just jump back in when you need to. Okay, so let's see. We have that one. We had the Claudette. We had the second Claudette. Oh no, we didn't have the second Claudette. Question, fellas, what did we have to lose starting Mac this game versus what we had to gain starting Brock, especially given the short turnaround?
I think what you have to gain is that Brock Purdy is a significantly better quarterback. I know that he didn't after this game, that sounds like not as an appealing thing to say, but comparably, I would say Brock Purdy is much better at quarterback than Mac Jones.
I think he is definitely the better quarterback. As far as, I don't know, I mean, it's a long season. I like the idea of riding the hot hand. Let's see here. I do have, let me see if I can share the screen on this. This is Shanahan in the Post. I want to share this with you guys. Off Coach Yak's Twitter. Are you guys seeing that?
Yes.
Okay.
High, and what did you think of his game? It seemed like some passes were high and off target. I mean, does the toe factor into any of that?
I can ask him. I don't think so. And we all got to do better. He had some good plays today, but we all got to do better today.
So very brief Shanahan there. He doesn't think so. But, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out, over time. We'll find out what Brock thinks about this at the end. Once again, it's a tough loss. I mean, it's a tough loss for the 49ers. It's any way you slice this one, it's a tough loss. I mean, they should
have, to be completely honest, they should have lost the game by more. They should have been blown out.
The only reason they weren't was the Jags had a ton of penalties.
Yeah.
This is the other play that when I think of Brock today, I think of this play. This is another one. High.
Down in 3, big play. Purdy fires, incomplete for Robinson.
That's a high throw, man.
Yeah.
That's a high throw.
He wasn't open, really. Was he open?
Well, that's the other thing. And that play, he wasn't really open. I think that's a good point. So we have this one from Cam. Oh, come on Friday. Anyone
ever play sport?
Anyone ever play sport with steel toes? Not good.
Very
steel
painful.
toe boots. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, I mean, it literally. There's a world where maybe his toe is feeling kind of all right, but the boot or whatever, the steel plate they put in there is making it super uncomfortable.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, I guess we'll find out tomorrow when he talks about it, or when Kyle talks about it. Charlie Sinclair says, "How do we feel about Saleh's comments and the Liam Cohen telling him to shove it post game? Feel like Saleh motivated the Jags." Well, I mean, I do too. I do too. I mean, there's the old saying, you don't poke a sleeping giant. You don't poke a stick at the bear. If you really wanted to say something to the guy about his sign stealing, I think you beat him. You don't say anything during the week. You beat him, and then you say something to him, on your way off the field. Hey, buddy, take your sign stealing shit and stick it. Whatever you're going to say, you say it then, as opposed to saying it at the presser. And then from Cohen's perspective, once Saleh brought up sign stealing, there is no compliment that, Kev's a great guy. I think he might have stole my watch.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hell of a guy, but I can't find my
I don't know.
watch.
I feel like Liam Cohen, he kind of overreact. I feel like he's overreacting to this because, okay, yeah, Saleh didn't have to say that. He went out of his way to mention it, but he kind of did it in like a positive way, or like, hey, respect to him. He has a really good, like, legal, he even said legal, like, sign stealing thing. So if you're Liam Cohen, it's like, if that's what you're doing, and if that is something that you're doing, why are you mad? You know, like if you are stealing signs or like trying to learn the opponent's signs, why are you mad about that? Like if that's what you're doing, then he's complimenting you. I don't know.
He publicly attacked his character, and I think that was the deal. And because you're right, Kev. I mean, a lot of teams probably do it, but they don't call each other out like that. So I think it ramped his players up. I mean, all of us have played on some level, be it, middle school, high school, whatever the case. You get amped up when you're in the locker room and you're playing against your rival, and you have been eating ice cream before the game. You get amped up to go out and play. I saw Jacksonville flying around the field, playing with maximum intensity. And I didn't see that from the 49ers. So I think that they got a lift from Saleh's comments. I think they did.
The other thing is the 49ers had chances in this game to make big plays defensively. Fred Warner dropped two picks. And they, when there was fumbles on the ground to pick up, they didn't pick them up. John Kalua, beyond the drops and the turnovers, this game exposed a lot of flaws with this team. I can't tell if this team is close to 7 wins or 12 wins. That's a good point. I think what the point is, the salient point is that if they're not on their game, a team that's not on their game can look like a team that goes 7-10. That same team, if they're on top of their game, can look like a 12-5 type team. So you got to play good ball. There's no question about that. Let's see. JD's back in the building. Hey, JD, good to see you. MSQ says if Stout intercepts, 0 turnovers, and no special teams touchdown, what's the final score? Yeah, I mean, if Stout got the interception...
I'll tell you right now, the Jaguars had 17 points off turnovers. So if you want to subtract 17 points off the board there, not to mention Stout's interception, giving them another possession, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I mean, even going for it on 4th down and not getting it, that's also kind of a turnover.
Yeah, exactly. That's a turnover on downs. It's really like 5 turnovers. Yeah. We got this one from Vise. He says, it's interesting to see Robert and Liam get separated after the game. Yeah, I think Robert would have won that battle. Perfect Blackness Senior says Shanny's O-line personnel philosophy and his fentanyl level addiction to CMC is a problem. His O-line philosophy don't match the current D-line talent. His weak O-line is getting bullied thoroughly. Yeah, I mean, the 49ers offensive line, there's no doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's just not good.
Their defensive line, I'd actually give some credit to the defense overall and the totality of the game, especially in the second half. But I think one of the craziest things I've seen all day, and Rye, you mentioned this, is Matt Mayoko tweeted out the Niners had 0 pressures or 0 sacks and 0 hits on the quarterback for the first time since 2015. That's a decade ago. It's been 10 years since their defensive line has produced this little in a game. If you want to think about it like that,
I mean, that's really insane. The game. That's the game in a nutshell. Trevor Lawrence is a well-known commodity at this point. If you pressure him, he turns it over. They lose. If you don't pressure him, though, you get what you get today. And they got a nice run game, and he can make just enough plays. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a really bad player. There was a couple plays in here. I'm like, what the heck is Trevor Lawrence doing?
That's the thing. That's why it's such a bad loss, is because this Jaguars team makes mistakes. Like, I mean, at the end of the game, he ran out of bounds when he should have just stayed in bounds.
Yeah, that was the other one. That was the point. That was the one I was talking about. Yeah, he runs out of bounds. It's like, bro, do you know how to play? I mean, is this your first rodeo? I mean, he really acts at times like a guy who has no sense on how to play the position. Michael Salisbury says, I don't know if anyone said this, but giving the 5-yard outs and not forcing Lawrence to throw the ball down the field is ridiculous. Yeah, they were the softest coverage on Brian Thomas the fourth, or is it the fourth? I believe Brian Thomas
Jr.
is just Junior. He's an awesome talent, man. He's an awesome talent, but he's ice cold. And the Niners gave him five receptions where they just played soft coverage. He ran it out. They were all on first down. Did you notice that? 5 times they went to Brian Thomas on a first down out to the sideline, and 5 times the Niners played soft coverage and gave it to him. It's like, guys, you literally gave him his production today. Let's see. I don't know if anyone said, okay, we got that. We got this one from Ham GT83. Disaster all around. D showed life in the second half, but clear they need a pass rusher and might not have the luxury to wait. Lawrence was too comfortable. Yeah, and I brought this up in the KMBR post game, and I just said, hey, look, you can talk about Trey Hendrickson all you want, but Trey Hendrickson might be a ways off. And I know Lynch has said, hey, we'll take a look at some trade additions when the time's right. Well, guess what? If you want to wait until mid-November, you're probably not going to be a very good team at that point. I would say that you got to make some addition here in the next week or two. It doesn't have to be a trade. It could be a free agent. It could be a practice squad poaching, but you gotta somehow try to shake up the mix. This week, the plan was Robert Beal from practice squad to the active roster. Use Sam O in Bosa's spot, but Sam O is not Bosa or anything close to Bosa, and he's not even really a speed rusher. He's more of a interior guy, and it just didn't happen. I mean, they got no pressure at all. I was sitting back there a couple times, and in my notes, I'm like, as I'm watching Trevor go to his 3rd, 4th progression, and it's like, dude, how does this guy have time to go to his 4th freaking receiver? And they just didn't have any pressure at all. So I'm not saying they've got to trade for Trey Hendrickson tomorrow, but the idea that they can wait and do nothing until November, no, it's not. They won't be in it in November. If today is any indication, you didn't get a hit on the quarterback for the first time in a decade. I think that might be something to take heed of. That's just my thought. All right, we got a couple more here, and let's see. We got that one. We got this one. The interior O-line is hot garbage. The fun fact, 49ers haven't returned a kickoff for a touchdown since 2018, and a punt return last time was 2011. Ugh, gosh, that is bad. Charlie Sinclair, is there a quarterback controversy brewing in San Francisco? No, I don't think so, but I do think if I was Brock, I would sit down for a couple more weeks and get right. And then maybe, who knows? Chad Smith says, what did I miss on the Stout PI? It seemed clean to me. Do you guys think they go 5 games without a rushing touchdown? Thanks for the great content. Did you guys think, I mean, JD, we've kind of talked about this a little bit. Did you think that was PI on Upton Stout? Oh, I think you might.
You're muted. You're muted.
You might be muted.
I personally, I'll go first just because JD's fixing that. I personally feel like it was ticky tack. Like by the letter of the law, was it PI? I guess he grabbed onto the jersey a little bit, but just if you're going for the flow of the game and like how things actually get officiated in the NFL, like I get that he was holding on, but it didn't impede his movement. It seemed like.
I did. You guys hear me now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. I did because I thought he had the jersey on the back, and I think by the letter of the law, it was. I asked Upton Stout in the locker room post game. I said, "Hey, do you think you got him? Do you think it was PI?" He said, "No, I didn't think so, but I'm never going to argue with a call like that. It was basically it was close. The official's going to make the call, and you move on and on to the next play. But I think could have gone either way. I think if they hadn't called it, it would have been fine. But I do think when you looked at it, he did have the jersey there. I thought a little early.
Humdinger says defense kept them in this game time after time, pass rush or not. And Brock said, nope, I'm blowing this game. Let me cook. Well, the turnovers, they could definitely make it look that way. Perfect Blackness Senior says, bullshit. The O put the D in horrible positions. The offense definitely did not help out the defense. Big Hurt. Big Trent looks done. Kyle needs to stop being so stubborn with some of his safe play calling. I didn't notice Trent getting beat today, but
Trent was bad. He was
he bad?
I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter, clips and stuff. Yeah.
That's the one thing when you do sit in the upper deck.
That's their running game. Like their running, like what would they used to do, Krueger, in their running game? It was always left. They'd run that little pitch left, and it would be behind Trent and Lake and Tomlinson, and they'd have a lead blocker, and they'd run the cut back and all that, and it just they'd have it all. He'd cut back, and it'd be all set up. He'd have a receiver and a fullback and a tight end and Trent and the left guard, and it would be a massive match. So I think it goes hand in hand. The decline in the run game and maybe a little bit of a decline here the first 4 games from Trent.
Hakeem the Dream says Brock Purdy is the James Franklin of quarterbacks. Of course, Penn State lost to Oregon this weekend. Great for appearances, but limited and gets exposed more day by day.
You know what? No, let me. I hear that take, and I know Franklin is 4-21 against what top 10 opponents or a Big Ten, but he doesn't play. His quarterback throws the ball right to the guy. I mean, if you're coaching that team, you're going to back your guy. But how is that your fault? I don't understand that.
Are you talking about Franklin and Drew Aller?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I watched a bunch of games this year. I didn't watch Oregon, but Oregon beat Penn State in Happy Valley.
It's a good game.
Oregon's a good team, though, man. Yeah. I mean, there's no question about that. Rob Iman says more Brian Robinson. Get Garendo involved. Have a read option package for Adrian Martinez. Anything to get the run game going. Yeah, I hear you. Charlie Sinclair says seems like the things Kyle doesn't care about are always the team's downfall. Interior offensive line, special teams being the big ones. I'll tell you the other thing. It's like, what I'd love to see the Niners record in these games where they don't win the coin toss. I mean, I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but Shanahan likes to play where he gets the ball in the third quarter. And when he doesn't get that, thing in the third quarter, it seems like he just doesn't have the right vibe or something. It's just, it's bizarre. I mean, the second quarter today, I mean, they scored, and then all of a sudden they allowed the Jags to go down and score. Niners get the Eddie Pinheiro field goal, 23-yard field goal. It's 14-6. And then literally 2 plays later, the Jaguars are in Niner territory. And
the kickoff return was terrible. That hurt them there.
Right. And then they kicked a 26-yard field goal to go up 17-6 at halftime. So the Jags scored going into the locker room, and Shanahan loves that score going in, score coming out, and he didn't have that today. And it's like he almost doesn't seem as comfortable when he doesn't have that same kind of setup. Charlie Sinclair said Saleh is just salty. Liam Cohen snaked him at the 11th hour and got to get the Jags job. Remember, Saleh was going to get the job. Then the Jags fired Balky so they could hire Cohen. That's interesting. I never really thought about that. You think that's possible? That's an interesting angle on this thing for sure. Hakeem the Dream, CMC is Wonder Bread toast. Done. Oh my God. I don't know if he's done. Terrence Sullivan, can I hope this is a trap game and we are ready to take the division on Thursday? You can hope.
I don't know who was asking that question, but someone asked that question twice too. Like, was this a trap game? Like, no, it's not a trap game. Like, they're not like, yep. We were actually preparing for the Rams game. Totally trapped us in this game. Weren't thinking about it at all. Like, why would you ask the question twice? I already asked like maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm like, what are we asking here? One of these questions.
What does that say? Nevik? Was it Nevix or Media? He says sign Russell Wilson ASAP. Okay. Kent says Kyle is so wicked smart with play calling. He doesn't seem to understand without a strong offensive line, offensive weapons lose their potency. Where is the run game? Couple more here. Kyle Thompson says, how much can this team go this season with this offensive line? I mean, it's not a great offensive line. I mean, how long are you going to gaslight us and tell us that guys that are, This line's 29th in run block win rate. They're 22nd in pass block win rate. Those are the premier offensive line stats, and they're not good in either. Damn Mab says next game Kyle is going to get Purdy on it with fuck around and find out O-line. Okay.
Gonna get Purdy on IR.
On IR. Oh, gotcha. On IR. I didn't see that IR was in low caps. Bill M says the window is closed. Don't trade assets. I don't know. I hear you, but I'll say this. First of all, if Daniel Jeremiah is right and all it takes is a 3rd-round pick to get Trey Hendrickson, then absolutely you do that. But yeah, I agree. Don't trade the 49ers, no matter what. I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but the 49ers, in my opinion, no matter what, cannot under any circumstances trade their 1st-round draft choice in 2026. They have to keep it. They have to spend it on an offensive tackle. It's as simple as that. They can push this thing off no further. They have to earmark a good offensive tackle for their 1st-round pick in 26. You can't trade that. You just can't trade it. I don't care who's out there, what the deal is. You just can't do it. Fixable solutions for the O-line and D-line. I don't know if I have one for the O-line. Other than get Connor Colby healthy. I would personally yank Brendel and go with, Nugent or somebody else at center. But they love Brendel and they think Brendel's, and Brendel does, it's a very much a cerebral position. So you have to make the right calls. He's a veteran. So, I don't think they're going to bump him out of there, but you're not moving Trent. You're not moving McKivitz.
He was a Pro Bowl alternate, though.
3 years ago.
Just remember that.
Yeah, stop. Fuji, go ahead, JD. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I didn't have anything on that.
Fuji says fixable solutions. Okay, so and then as far as the D line, I think you need a little help. I don't think you got what you need up front there on the defensive side. Cosmo, all 3 phases of this team were exposed. O-line continues to be a problem. Brock Purdy needs to get back to the basics. Kyle Shanahan needs an OC. Poor game management. Wow. Tommy Black says, why do people spout off the same bot response? Super Bowl window is closed. Just shut the F up. Who started the whole thing? Okay.
He's Tommy Black's fuming right now.
He's fuming. Gold Towel, end of runner-up dynasty. Okay. We got this one from Pedro Hernandez. Why didn't the refs allow the penalty decline? We talked about that as well. Shanahan called a timeout, wasted a timeout in the process, by the way, trying to get that penalty to be re-looked at, and they weren't going to do that. MSQ says, what are the in-house moves we can make at O-line? Zakel, Nugent, you don't have a bunch. You're going to change out your center? You're not going to change out your guards, most likely. You're not changing out your tackles. They don't even have a 3rd tackle. That's really good. I don't think they have one. Maybe you can move Brendel out. Giovanni Miller, Grant Cohn really got me thinking. Do you think Brock Purdy is going to be the quarterback of the future? What do you think we should bench him? No, I don't think they should bench him. But if he's not right, I think he ought to bench himself and be real. I asked him the question. He said, hey, I'm going to watch the film and I got to be honest with myself. So we'll see. We'll see what that exercise produces. Let's see. I think we got this one. Oh, wait. No, we just had that one. We got this one. Ever since Loco Ant 1624. Ever since the Ravens Christmas game in 23, Brock was never the same. Team started playing press man, and it's been all downhill for him. I don't know about that. He looked pretty freaking sharp in week 1. Did he not? He threw a couple interceptions in that game, but I thought he looked pretty sharp.
I thought he was excellent first half of last year. I thought he was excellent. But it was kind of like he's saying about the press man. They just didn't really have the receivers. Like they weren't getting that much separation, so he's just pushing the ball down the field to Jawan Jennings. And
I mean, that's you could say that right now. They don't get a lot of separation. Tangy says, "Legal ain't stealing." Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the phrase. Supposedly he's talking. I mean, who knows what Saleh was thinking? But he obviously wanted to say what he said. Old Fogey, this is exactly what a team deserves when they trade a cheap young running back with a career 5 yards per carry average, entering his prime for an expensive old Fogey. He's talking about J.P. Mason, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got this one from Jebus. The sad part about the Brian Robinson is that he has flashed on the very few carries he's been given. He was traded to be CMC's one rep water break guy. Well, I don't agree with that. I mean, this guy was a starting running back with Washington. I think he can be utilized more than they've utilized him thus far. Niner Mafia, Brock had a steel plate in his shoe. So that's interesting.
That's
do you
the
know anything
norm.
more about that?
Yeah, that's the norm. I think I mentioned it last week. That's kind of the norm for a quarterback that plays through turf toe is to get that steel plate, which basically prevents the toe from moving as much in a way where it can be hurt worse. I saw there was a David Carr I saw on NFL Network within the last 10 days or so. I think in the aftermath of Joe Burrow, he was kind of explaining how he would just, typically a turf toe, you get the shoe with the steel plate. It basically keeps the thing from moving around. Maybe you need to do a pain shot, maybe not. I know Brock said he didn't get one. He was asked about that post game. He said he didn't get one, but the plate is kind of normal for somebody that has turf toe. Again, I know they're reluctant to say turf toe or whatever, but I think he's got turf toe, right? I mean, I think that's kind of common knowledge at this point. Not the Joe Burrow needs surgery, going to miss 3 months version, but a version that you can play through, but it's going to be painful, and you do have to wear that steel plate to prevent things from worsening.
Makes you wonder though, because part of his value proposition is his escapability. Mark Gravy Graves, hey Graves, member for 39 months. There we go. He says, at this rate, CMC is not lasting the season. Great to see Rye back. Need more Rye. D-line, O-line got manhandled today. Yeah, Gravy Graves. I agree. Batman says, Batman 39, Brock had a turnover problem, 4 interceptions in 2 games, or has a turnover problem. Greg RJZ says, Trent doesn't practice, busy with boombox up his ass. All right, nice. Something tells me you wouldn't say that to him. Gated, are we really surprised? Are you not entertained? There you go. That's my Russell Crowe. Perfect Blackness Senior says the problem with the O line is Shanny is having his way philosophically with it. His scheme is copied, but not his O line philosophical stubbornness. And we got this one from Ryan Aloy. Brock will get hurt Thursday with this O line. Rams are far better at every position except linebacker. That includes coaching. Reality check today. And we have Mike 824 says Brendel is as sharp as a bowling ball. All right, let's do this. Let's go around the room with our game balls. I got to take a quick urination sensation. I'll be right back. Kev, you go first, and then I'll be back.
Okay. Game ball for me. I'm not going to give it to a Niner. I'm going to give it to Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd played like a Hall of Fame, All-Pro, whatever you want to call it, linebacker today. He was all over the field. I saw this stat after the game. He had 2 intercepted passes and a fourth quarter sack fumble recovery, both adding up to like over 50% win probability change in just those 3 plays alone. So he accounted for some of the biggest plays today. I also just think he was just everywhere. So I'll give my game ball to Devin Lloyd.
I'll jump in. Yeah, I think I'm going to follow suit. Go with a Jaguar. I'll go ETN. I mean, everybody just kind of gave up on this guy. Everybody's got a fantasy football team. We all were like, is it going to be I guess it's Tank Bigsby's thing. Okay, they drafted Tootin. They got this other guy that does third down work, and he just looks awesome. He looks like exactly the guy who was, 1,000 yards every season. Just looked like a complete stud. I also am like super upset because I drove up to the Bay Area or this weekend, and I just had like 5 hours in the car, and I was so bored that I wanted to orchestrate a fantasy trade. So I traded him away. Even though I knew I was going to lose the trade, I just still did it for Travion Henderson and just the hope of Travion Henderson. And I'm pretty bummed about that. So
That's tough.
It's tough.
I'm going to go with Jake Tongas. Tongas, his name is?
Yeah.
Cal tight end. Because, again, this guy was literally on the cusp of not having a professional career. And you know what? You can be a specialist in the NFL. If you can do one thing really, really well and you can kind of work yourself into a game, I think you can have a pretty good career. And Tongas has shown an ability to catch the ball. You even go back to game one. He snatched that ball out of the air to win the game for the 49ers. So Jake Tongas gets my game ball. I'm going to break out, folks. I'm going to get ready for my show a little later, all right?
Frank, tell people about your show, where they can catch you.
Check me out in the Dungeon Show as it is spelled on the screen. I'll be back on about 9 o'clock. And Rod, great to see you. Great to see everybody else. And good show. Thanks for having me. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, Frank. There you go. The great Frank Red.
Probably should put this up too. Let's see.
We are brought to you by Habbas Law, 1-800-INJURED. I've told you guys many times, everybody in my family except for me is an attorney. But my dad, my late father was an attorney. My brother was an attorney, or is an attorney, now a judge. My sister's an attorney. And the old saying, you're the difference between success and failure in life is having the right attorney. So Habbas Law, they will fight to make it right. 1-800-INJURED is their phone number. Great law firm, great personal injury attorneys, very much rooted here in the community. Great sponsor for the Krueger show. And these guys are high integrity guys, and they're really, really good at what they do. So give them a call, 1-800-INJURED, Habbas Law. They will fight to make it right. And they are going to sponsor this last segment, our game ball segment. We also have this one who says, Terrence Sullivan says, what do we need to clean up to beat the Rams Thursday? And what's your prediction? My prediction is pain. No, that was from Rocky. What do they need to clean up? I mean, they need to clean up their special teams. They need to come up with a new way to rush the quarterback. They probably need to add another edge rusher to their mix. They got nothing. I mean, to not get a single hit on the quarterback today is just an eye opener. So that's what I would do. And then, we'll see about Brock Purdy. We'll see if he's healthy enough to give it a go or not. I think tomorrow is going to be very interesting, and the next couple of days will be very interesting. It's going to be a quick turnaround. I mean, the coaches, guys, I guarantee you, the Niner coaches went into their locker room, took a shower, probably got some dinner, and are now sitting at their desk. And they're going to do an all-nighter to put this thing to bed so that they can squeeze this entire week of preparation. I mean, they have to get ready for the Rams, but they can't get ready for the Rams, so they put this one to bed. They can't put this one to bed, so they watch it and go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and they're probably going to be sitting at their desks probably for the next 10 hours. That's reality. You want to coach in the NFL? Really? Think it over. But yeah, I think they're going to spend a lot of time working on the Rams for sure. Did everybody give their game ball?
I did not get one, but
go ahead.
If I have, I'll give it to Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas Jr. He had a nice game. I know I could not think of anybody for the Niners that would be warranted. I mean, maybe McCaffrey, but you look at all the touches, the receiving yards and the like. But I'll go Brian Thomas Jr. He had some big catches, as you mentioned, Krueger, on some of the early downs. And it felt like he was the guy that Trevor Lawrence was most comfortable throwing the ball to in this game. And he winds up, I know Strange, the tight end, had 6 catches, but I thought Thomas's catches were significant in terms of the outcome of the game. So I'll go Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, it is really tough to come up with a Niner. I guess I would come up with Marquise Siegel. I kind of feel like the rookie just shows up around the football a lot. 8 tackles, 6 solo. Now, obviously, some of those are in the secondary, and you don't necessarily love to see, tackles down the field, because that tells you that usually you gave up, the catch. But I thought overall Siegel played pretty well. I'd probably go with Siegel as my game ball. But yeah, it's slim pickings. I mean, it is absolutely slim pickings as far as the Niners are concerned. Final thought. Why don't you have a final thought? JD, you got a final thought before we bolt for the door?
Yeah, final thought is I think they got to flush this one. I mean, and I think it does help on the one hand that you're playing on Thursday because it's an easy flush. You're still 3-1. If you are going to lose games, I know we're already doing the thing with the schedule where it's like, the Texans are who we thought the Colts were going to be, and the Colts are who we thought the Texans are going to be, and the Jags we thought were going to stink, and now they look like a pretty good team today in many ways, although penalties and sloppiness, I think probably do them in on other days, maybe against different opponents. But if you are going to lose a game here and there, losing them to the AFC when you're an NFC team is much more acceptable than, say, losing a division game or even a conference game. So this one doesn't hurt, to be perfectly honest, as much from that standpoint. So I think it should be an easy flush. Maybe the Jags are better than certainly we all anticipated, but the next two are huge. And it is unfortunate that the Niners couldn't find a way to get one more to get to 4-0 ahead of the Rams game and then the Tampa game, which I think, again, you can look, I think they're the toughest 2 games on the schedule. I know the Bucs are banged up in their own way. They got beat by Philly today. So they're going to have to suck it up and I think grind through these next couple of weeks. And it may get a little uglier before it gets better. I think that's the one thing, this is why you build a 3-0 cushion. And it's because you can take a couple of losses and still your season is not slipping away. And so I think that's kind of got to be the mindset. We know the Niners have played well against the Rams throughout the years. The Rams, I think on paper, are a better, healthier team right now going into Thursday. So that game's going to be incredibly difficult, but they're going to have to figure it out. And yeah, the biggest concern, and I'll end it on this note, is the pass rush. It was and that was one of the notes I put. No Bosa, no pass rush, and we've basically seen that every time Bosa's not played, every time Bosa's been hurt. Like, they go from a team that gets a moderate to really good pass rush, depending upon some of the other talent, to excellent, just depending upon some of the other talent they have around Bosa. When Bosa goes away, teams are very comfortable. And they just cannot generate it. And when they have to get too carried away, potentially blitzing, that can leave them vulnerable in other areas. And so I think the biggest unfortunate thing is, going from last week to this week was Bosa's injury. And where is that going to leave this team in the big, the grand scheme of things? And I think we saw, even in this game against a team like Jacksonville, it was like, whoa, like that's not good for the long term. So a lot of answers, but I also would say, don't panic these next couple of games, because the Niners are playing, I think, better teams the next 2 than they have at any point here in the first 4.
Who else? Who wants to go next? Kev, go ahead. Final thought?
I mean, there's a bunch of new concerns that come out of this game for this team. I think there was 3 concerns that we had going into this game that still remain true. They're not running the ball efficiently. They still aren't running the ball efficiently. They can't score in the red zone. They still aren't really very efficient in the red zone, 1-3 today. And special teams is still a nightmare, and they had a terrible special teams. So those are the 3 concerns that still loom. And now you have a Brock Purdy issue. Like JD said, the pass rush was not there. Mikael Williams was getting depoy considerations. I don't think I ever really heard his name called that much today. He might not be I don't think anyone on the D-line is as good as they are without Nick Bosa there, commanding double teams and commanding all the slide protections. So that's a new concern. So yeah, I mean, it like JD said, it might get uglier before it gets better, because they have this Rams team is good. This Rams team is very good. So short week though. I think the one thing about the Thursday night games is that it's a little bit more random. Like random things happen in that game, and it's anyone's ball game. So if you're coming into this thinking that the Rams might have the better squad, you might be right. But it's Thursday night football, and anything can happen. So
is there a spread out on that?
I can find it.
I think it might be like 3.5.
Let's play the guessing game. Why don't you guess what the spread is before we?
I would say Rams -5.
I'd say 4.5.
I'd say probably 3.5.
Okay, so we got a wider range. It is 3.5.
Where do you think it goes?
Probably gets to 4 by Thursday.
Yeah. My final. Go ahead, Ryan. You have a final thought?
Sure. Yeah. My final thought is just kind of like, I looked at the schedule. They play the Rams again November 9th. So I'll be very interested to see like what this team looks like. Because right now, this team has no identity. So I'm very interested to see like what their identity is come like around November 9th. We all know that their schedule is super easy. So they should be able to tread water. But I'm just trying to think, like, what is the formula for them to be a team that makes it to the Final Four, that makes it to the NFC Championship game, sneaks in? Because right now it looks like their defense isn't that great. Their run game isn't that great. Their downfield passing game isn't that great. Their special teams certainly aren't great. So it's like, what do they have? And I kind of think what it's going to end up being, if it becomes anything, I think it's going to be Purdy gets healthy, weapons come back, and I think they're going to kind of be a shootout team, to be honest. But I think I'll pick the Niners to win on Thursday, just because of the wonkiness of Thursday. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the Rams today. We didn't talk about that, but they got incredibly lucky. Adonai Mitchell had like an 80-yard touchdown. Did the classic, dropped the ball before he got into the end zone. That was a 7-point swing. Then Jonathan Taylor busts off an unbelievable run with 2 minutes left in the game to go up 7. That's called back on an Adonai Mitchell hold. And then defender falls down, Tutu Atwell, 75-yard touchdown. So this Rams team is definitely beatable. I just think they have to limit mistakes, probably go with more of a Jimmy G game plan, to be honest. And hopefully, like, the defense comes out like maniacs and like can get some turnovers.
My final thought is that we came into this season going, man, they're going to have to really lean on their offense because their defense has got all these young guys and their special teams is a work in progress. But then we kind of thought, well, special teams is bound to be better. Well, we're wrong. I mean, it's bound to be the same. And it is the same. So the special teams is atrocious as it's always been. And the defense has, lost Bosa, and today was lacking, but basically the defense has been a pleasant surprise. The unbelievable disappointment is this 49er offense. You can't run. You have Christian McCaffrey. Suddenly a bunch of teams playing two-shell defenses, that's all it took to totally derail you offensively. You're averaging 19 points a game. It doesn't really – offensively, they don't look good right now. So they do have two quarterbacks that can both process. I think Brock Purdy's hurt. I don't think he's playing – I think he's playing around his injury. I think his margin for error – I think what we're seeing with Brock Purdy is that his margin for error is not great. That's his reality. Is he crappy? No. I'm sure there are content creators and people that are going to be like, he's ass, he's this, he's that. He's not. He's a good quarterback, but he's not a good quarterback when he can't run. He's not a good quarterback when he's not being protected. He would be a good quarterback if he had a Jalen Hurts situation with a good defense, a killer offensive line, Saquon Barkley, and you're just going to manage the game, make just smart decisions, and make a few throws. But that's not where they're at. They're almost like teams don't think they can run. They're loading the box, daring them to pass. They don't have any speed at their weapons. They tried 2 years ago to get Cowing. They tried last year to get Watkins. They don't have any speed. They're not very fast. So, it makes Brock Purdy's job tougher. I don't think Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback, but I also don't think he's a healthy quarterback, and I'd like to see him sitting on Thursday night for Mac Jones and really let him heal. Give him 2 or 3 weeks to get the toe right. I don't think they lost because of the toe. I'm not using that as an excuse. I just think that Brock Purdy has to be really on his game to have success in the NFL, and his margin for error is not great. So if you don't have separation, then his lack of arm strength comes into the mix. If he doesn't have escapability, then his ability to get away from the defense changes. And today he made some. Did he not see Lloyd on the interception? I mean, the one to Lloyd was brutal. That was a brutal one. So I guess I'd have to say that defensively, kind of pleasantly surprised, despite the fact they lost Bosa. And the special teams is absolutely a circus. And Brock Purdy, I think, is hurt and probably shouldn't play on Thursday night. And then this guy who says, I'm the 49er mouthpiece. Shanahan is telling you to say Purdy isn't healthy. All right, 49er. Appreciate the thanks for jumping in, I guess. Anyway, anybody who knows me knows I'm not a mouthpiece for anybody. And if I was a Niner mouthpiece, I'm sure not getting treated all that well for being such a Niner mouthpiece. I think I'd like a better parking spot and a little bit better guest booked for me. If I was really a Niner mouthpiece, I'd like to have a little bit more payback. If those of you who believe I'm a Niner mouthpiece, I work for the Niners. Look, man, I'm a Niner mouthpiece. Get me a guest or two. All right. Anyway, hey, that's going to do it for us. Great stuff. Rye, great to see you, bro. Love to have you back on a regular basis. You know you're welcome any Sunday. And the audience.
This is the truth right here. Mouthpiece for Pig in a Pickle.
That's right. I'm a mouthpiece for Pig in a Pickle.
Carrying their water.
I gotta show this to Rye. Rye, this is unbelievable. I'm gonna show you this. Look at this. This just came to me. This is a kid. Okay, I'm just gonna play it. This is a kid at University of Oregon kid. Okay, who's such a diehard fan of the show that he's memorized all the sponsors. Here we go.
Say is that Pig and Pickle has 2 locations, one in Corona Madera, one in Emeryville. They're open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. He recommends the brisket chili because it's so damn good. Say hi to Damon and Mary. They're such great people. Tell them that Larry sent you. Also, Sharp Corner Sports. Anthony Catania, great guy in Pacific Grove, California. I know the entire live ad read, baby. Use code Larry.
The guy
going on in the background there.
This just diehard college kid fan at University of Oregon started spitting that out to one of my son's friends, and he taped that and sent that to me. So Anthony Catania got a kick out of that last night. Anyway, awesome. Somebody who's a big fan. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Ride. JD, great to see you. Kev, great to see you. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You know, rough loss for the Niners. Keep the faith. We're back with you Thursday night. We'll be in the home studio. Kev and I are not going to Southern Cal for this one. JD, you are though, right?
I am. I will be at SoFi. So yeah, I'll hope to check in with you guys after the game.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. We'd love to check in with you at SoFi. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in. Hit like and subscribe on your way out the door. Also, thanks to all of our sponsors. You know, shop our sponsors. It helps the show. And thanks
Links
to all
in the bio.
of you guys. What's that?
Links are in the bio.
Links are in the bio below. Thanks to everybody. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been